able to get the final wrap-up of the story, which gave us a lot of context moving forward into Phase 2 of Kingdom Hearts. However, Kingdom Hearts Dark Road has yet to be completed. Square Enix and Tetsuya Nomura has confirmed that we will be seeing the end of Dark Road this month with a full playable story dump when we have a new offline mode of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross Dark Road. There are many secrets that we found from the Union Cross side of things that spill over into Dark Road, but with that final revelation about the cognitive, the willful darknesses that amount themselves against the Seven Lights in the form of a number 13 and a true inner circle of the Deadly Seven, we might have an idea of what is in store for young Xehanort's fate to become one of those possible darknesses. And as powerful as the most powerful Keyblade Master in history, he may have been one of the outlying darknesses. One of the outer circle. One of the true 13, but not of the Deadly Seven. Let's start to talk about this, alright? As we know, in Dark Road, we are currently 3 episodes in. It's currently unknown how many episodes we're going to have with Dark Road when it finally releases this month. But I'm thinking around the nice number, a round number of 10, or maybe it could be as little as 7. A lot of people are speculating it might be as grand as 13 in order to go with the number 13, but I feel that's going to be a little much considering that all of the story updates that we're going to need in order to make this a full experience as they promoted it to be when it comes to the origin story of Xehanort's darkness. With that being said, Xehanort has taken a dark turn at some point in Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. As we see, he's grown up with classmates, with friends. He was beloved by everyone around him. Master Odin thought of him as a great pupil. He was among really well-received people such as Ericus, Veor, Ermod, Erd, and Bragi, along with the other member of his classmate entourage, which turns out to be Baldur. Now, this takes a very sad turn for the worst 4 years after the beginning of Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, in which we can pretty much surmise that, you know, young Xehanort is 15 years old, because Tetsuya Nomura did confirm that young Xehanort, that we see him in Kingdom Hearts 3 Dream Drop Distance or whatever, he's around the 18-20 year old range, and I want to put him as a nice number around like 19, because I want to say that, oh, a way for, you know, Kingdom Hearts protagonists or important characters to start off their journey is to have a nice round number of the age 15, which is, you know, the age that we've seen Riku start off in Kingdom Hearts 1 at least, and then Sora becomes 15 along with Kairi in Kingdom Hearts 2, and then he's still kind of 15 in Kingdom Hearts 3, but then after Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, he's 16, whatever. I want to summarize that Kid Xehanort, before he becomes young Xehanort, is around that 15-year-old range, and then he becomes 19. When he becomes 19, the way we see him, he's afflicted with a grand tragedy that 4 out of his classmates seem to have passed on. They have died, and he is mourning their losses at their gravesite, in which Ericus, who obviously is still alive, tells him that it's not his fault what happened to them. Now, in Dark Road, we've seen that Xehanort is the boy gifted with the sight of darkness. Now, we have seen characters in Kingdom Hearts before able to see and sense the darkness, but it seems that Xehanort's ability is a little more substantial than that, because he's able to see what we perceive as willful darknesses that are still within their hosts. We have not been able to see something like that before, because we've seen, you know, a willful darkness that we think that goes on to become Vanitas dwell within Ventus, but we only see that darkness, the characters only see that darkness once that darkness is out of Ventus, right? Strelitzia wasn't able to sense it. Unfortunately, that led to her demise or whatnot. She only saw Ventus, Kiriti only saw Ventus, and then they got smoked. So it seems that Xehanort has that ability in order to detect and see willful darknesses when they're still within their host, which could lead to the fact on why Xehanort chose Ventus, because he was able to see a willful darkness within Ventus at the time with Vanitas. He was able to see that, and he was like, okay, this guy is gonna be a really, really good asset, and I'm gonna need him to tap into that power. And Ventus refused, though. Ventus refused to, and Xehanort's like, all right, it's time. I'm gonna extract this. So it's probably due to that he was able to see, you know, the darkness through that with his special eyes. However, Xehanort's eyes are a mystery within that of Dark Road, because Xehanort originally had silver eyes, as opposed to the golden eyes that we know is one of his most trademark traits, as confirmed by Tetsuya Nomura. Tetsuya Nomura confirms that Xehanort's most prevalent traits are his white hair, golden eyes, and pointy ears. Traits that bounce from one person to another when they become Norted in different degrees. Sometimes they get the white hair, sometimes they get the pointy ears, but most of the time they get the yellow eyes, right? The golden eyes. However, that's not a trait that he originally had from the beginning. At one point, we do know that young Xehanort does get the golden eyes when he's around the age of 19. So that really boils down to the question of Dark Road and where this finale can take place. I believe that the finale is going to really drive home the connection between that of Xehanort and the Master of Masters when it comes to how they met, what the Master of Masters wants Xehanort to do, because we all know that the the Master of Masters plan when it comes to defeating, or I should say, taking out the darkness, is having his apprentices, the foretellers, the people that he raised, Keyblade Masters in their own rights, along with Luxu, to be hosts of these powerful, deadly darknesses, which seems completely messed up. That seems entirely fucked up, but that was the plan. And that these 7 would be within that of Gula, Ava, Aced, Envy, Ira, Luxu, and himself. And we still don't know the Master of Masters' name, but I want to say it's going in line with, you know, Superbia, you know, Key Super, or whatever. We do know that Xehanort knows the name of the Master of Masters, and I feel that the name of the Master of Masters is truly going to be revealed in Dark Road. That's going to be one of the biggest things. One of the biggest things, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to finally find out that name. I am like 80% sure that we're going to get a replay of the scene expanded a little bit more from what we saw in Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. We're gonna finally get that name, and then that name is gonna mean something, right? So Xehanort is going off looking for these darknesses, as we've seen where he returns to Wonderland. And I've had this theory on YouTube already about the 7 deadly darknesses and where we can definitely, you know, surmise where they could be and who they could be attached to. We've talked about this before, in which the 7 deadly darknesses are probably going to reflect that of the 7 deadly sins that the foretellers have been named after. And those sins are, when it starts with the Master Masters and Luxu, pride, lust, greed, envy, sloth, wrath, and sloth and gluttony. There you go, gluttony, the Gula Gland. Gluttony. So I was able to, like, you know, try and piece them together when it comes to certain Disney villains and whatnot, and I feel that that video, which you can find on my channel, is pretty much on the money. When it comes to greed, I feel it's going to be Gaston. And when it comes to lust, I feel it's going to be Jafar. When it comes to pride, I feel that that's going to be something related to Kairi in terms of the Radiant Garden. Only because the Master of Masters obviously is the most powerful and the most important out of all of those ancient masters, the Lost Masters, whatever. And then Kairi is, you know, the odd one out when it comes to the original Disney Princesses of Heart. So I feel that pride is going to be attached to Kairi, Radiant Garden, because that's where she's originally from. When it comes to the other darknesses, obviously Envy is going to be the wicked evil queen from Snow White, because she is all about envy. When it comes to gluttony, that's where I get really hanky-panky, because I feel like gluttony is a weird sin to talk about. And I feel that that's going to be Maleficent within Enchanted Dominion for various reasoning, right? Sloth is going to be Lady Tremaine in Cinderella. And then, did I get them all already? Wrath, we already know who Wrath is. Wrath is already the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland. So with Dark Road, I feel that we're going to get chapters in which we go back. Prepare yourselves to return to Agrabah, ladies and gentlemen. Then we're going to go back to those Disney worlds in which the Princess of Heart, the original set, are going to be the most important. And then that young Xehanort is going to be able to isolate and see these deadly darknesses within those Disney villains that they're hiding in currently. I'm not saying that those Disney villains are going to be the darknesses that we have to fight against, because obviously those darknesses are going to wind up one way or another within that of the Master of Masters. Now, another focal point that a lot of people are not addressing, that a lot of people need to understand when it comes to the hype of Dark Road and the finale and what we got going on, is that Quadratum, Yzora, Phase 2, the World of Fiction. Alright? We found out in a huge way that Union Cross, the way it ended, dealt with ideas of the world of fiction, of Quadratum, of the Master of Masters, trying to go there because he sees that there is a world without light or darkness, so he doesn't have to deal with this all this hanky-panky bullshit, right? So, if that was prevalent enough in Union Cross, and it ended within that of Phase 2, and then we have Melody of Memory, Kingdom Hearts Remind, obviously, Master of Masters is probably, more than likely, 100% sure it's gonna bring up Quadratum and the World of Fiction to Xehanort at one point in order to put that little curse in his ear, to be that little fly in his ear. Because, thanks to Melody of Memory, we have the confirmation, thanks to his final plan, that Xehanort, at one point in the past, knew about Quadratum, knew about the World of Fiction, knew about a world beyond that of light or darkness, beyond the realms of non-fiction, of reality, unreality itself. So I feel that Xehanort is going to get that fascination, and we're going to get another clue leading down the breadcrumb trail leading into the World of Fiction Quadratum, and truly set us up for either a Van Rex game or Kingdom Hearts 4. A lot of people keep on saying that Kingdom Hearts 4 or a Quadratum game or whatever, not even a Yzora game, just Kingdom Hearts 4, a numbered 4 game, is probably not going to be the next big console game, because a lot of people are expecting that we're going to get another game or another couple of games between that of 3 and 4. You need to understand, if we are counting Dark Road. Dark Road is its own game. Square Enix thinks so, Morg thinks so, Phase 2 considers it its own game. Phase 2 started with Kingdom Hearts Remind, and the more said that Remind is technically self-sufficient, in which it's pretty beefy. All right, we got the Remind scenario, we got the 13 Darknesses within the Datascape, and we have the secret episode in which we have to fight Yzora in Quadratum itself. Shibuya, baby! So, with that being said, that's the beginning of Phase 2. And then Phase 2 rolls on with Dark Road. Dark Road is another game within Phase 2. And then we go on into Melody of Memory. That means between that of Kingdom Hearts 3, if you do not want to count Remind, we've had 2 titles between that of Kingdom Hearts 3 and possibly that of Kingdom Hearts 4. And 4 being that Quadratum game in which Riku finally reaches Shibuya, Quadratum, Shinjuku, because those were the dreams or whatnot. We're finally going to learn more about what the Master of Masters plans to do with the world of fiction in which light and darkness do not exist there. Does he feel that it's going to be safe enough in order to have a true battle between the deadly darknesses and the other 13, the full 13 set of darknesses, the deadly 7 within them, and the 7 crowns of light, the true 7 guardians? Because, you know, it's funny enough how the Master of Masters talks about, you is like, and that will make you indispensable number 7. Come on, me plus you and the others make 7. He didn't say anything about 7 guardians. I mean, 7 lights is enough to even talk about when it comes to the Keyblade shattering with the 20 pieces, the 13 darknesses, the 7 lights, and the 7 deadly within the 13 darknesses. He never said anything about guardians. You know, the 7 kings of light, the 7 crowns of light. That's probably what he meant. And that's probably like, you know, the true force in order to go against the true force of darkness. Because everything that we've seen now, I feel in Kingdom Hearts, especially with the Xehanort saga, going back into Dark Road, going back into Kingdom Hearts Remind, it's all been practice. It's all been hanky-panky, you know, like, I would, not even what if, but, yeah, it's like a little league. It's like little league baseball compared to what's coming. All right. Xehanort's 13 darknesses are darknesses he had to create himself in order to fill the need, in order to fill that void of the formula to create the Keyblade and summon Kingdom Hearts. All right. But those are 13 darknesses of his own volition, of his own creation. Those aren't the true 13. They were never the true 13. When it's like, oh, the real 13 darknesses, the real organization, the new organization. No, they were never real. They were just beings and like materials in that equation that he needed, but they were never the true 13. The true 13 are 13 Willful Darknesses, and within them, the Deadly 7, right? And who knows, we've probably never seen the true Guardians, the true 7 lights, whatnot. Because from what we know, the true 7 lights to be are, you know, the Princesses of Heart, the 7 pure lights of the world and stuff. But they can't really fight. They're not going to fight the Darknesses and whatnot. And the Master of Masters knows that. So he probably set up and knew that these crowns are needed in order to fight against, you know, the Darknesses. And funny enough, when we come back, dialing back to that number of 7, can it be possible that in Dark Road, that could have led to the deaths of 4 of Xehanort's companions? Because we do know that Ericus, Xehanort, after whatever happened, are still running around. Plus another straggler. A lot of people say it might be Baldur, but the thing is, if you study Norse mythology, if you study Norse mythology, it ain't looking good for Baldur. All right. And a lot of people think it might be Veor, because a lot of people, you know, myself included, you know, like to play around with the theory that Veor may be Kyrie's grandmother, right? But could it be possible, considering that, you know, Xehanort deals a lot with, you know, royalty and king and crown motifs, especially with his Keyblade armor, and that his Keyblade armor is very similar to all of his classmates' Keyblade armor, that the Master of Masters saw these 7 classmates and was like, hey kids, you want to fight some darkness? Hey, I got these crowns. How about you try and wear them? Hey, let's see if you got what it takes to fight the darkness. And then the 7 of the classmates wear the 7 crowns of light that the Master of Masters have prepared. And then party time happens and 4 of them die. And then Xehanort's like, we should have never accepted those crowns. We should have never accepted that. It's my fault. It was my fault for thinking that we were strong enough to do that. Imagine if it goes that way. Because honestly, there's going to be a lot of sadness when it comes to Dark Road. And I see some of you saying that that's rather dark. Well, I mean, we're dealing with Dark Road, literally, with Xehanort's literal villain arc. How he rose to a villain, how he rose to who he is right now. Because he was pretty well-rounded as a kid. He was a pretty happy, well-rounded kid. And then, you know, all it takes is one bad day. And boy, he had a really, really bad day. Imagine, you know, having all these friends that believe in you, look up to you, and, you know, honestly put you on a pedestal. They did that for Xehanort, and Xehanort took all of that in stride, and he was very reflective to his friends as well, and stuff. He was a very happy kid, and then all that happened. And now we see how Xehanort came to be when it comes to everything that he's done in Dream Drop Distance, everything he's done in Kingdom Hearts 3, you know, the great portrayal of Benjamin Diskin, because I feel that that's a really good thing that you need to pick up on when it comes to the chess match between Kid Xehanort and young Ericus in Kingdom Hearts 3, is that Ben Diskin's portrayal of Xehanort, his, like, not only his tonality in order to make his voice sound that much younger, even though he portrayed young Xehanort, he's like, okay, no, we gotta go younger, we gotta go into the younger dimension, right? Not only did he sound younger, he also sounded a lot happier, because that was a point in time before dun dun dun, right? So he sounded pretty happy back then. And then when you compare those two, you know, voicing mannerisms that Ben Diskin done between that of Kid Xehanort and young Xehanort, we obviously can tell there's a little bit of a contrast despite the voice actors being the same. Same way how you can subtly tell the difference between Roxas and Ventus speaking. You know, Roxas has a bit more gruff and a bit more maturity and a bit more angst to his voice, while Ventus is like a little bit more hard-pitched. It's both Justin McCartney, obviously, but like Ventus is like, hey guys, what you talking about, right? And Roxas is like, no one would miss me. It's the same voice actor, but, you know, and then obviously, you know, the difference between Sora and Vanitas is like this, even though it's both Haley Joel Osment. It's like this. So, honestly, considering that with Dark Road and young Xehanort, I feel like I am ready to see them cry, but the question that I feel that was going to be, you know, pretty much a good way to be asked is that, do we believe that his comrades, are they going to die all at once, or are they gonna be picked off one by one? Because of course we do know that the young student's mission is to scour the worlds in order to look for the missing upperclassmen, you know, the class in which Baldur's sister belongs to. And I'm pretty sure they're dead, because, you know, I understand Skull-Eyed Kylam is huge, but you know what else is huge? That graveyard. Oh lord. So when it comes to like the truth of the darkness, I feel that Xehanort, unfortunately, with his companions, with the guiding invisible hand of the Master of Masters, is going to come into contact with each of these deadly darknesses, and that's going to lead him down the dark path, seeing how they function, seeing how, you know, what Xehanort can do in order to possibly master one. And that is one of the biggest things that I want to talk to you about on the stream, on this video, YouTube or Twitch or whatnot, is that when it comes to Xehanort talking about the darkness, succumbing to the darkness, he has a very weird way of talking about the darkness and, you know, referring to the darkness. It's almost as if, you know, he considers it another entity, another bodily entity, an entity that should be referred to like a person, right? And that's, you know, the whole full circle I'm saying with Xehanort's eyes, that I feel that Xehanort, along with Vanitas, no, Vanitas himself is a willful darkness, but I've said it time and time again that I don't believe that Vanitas is one of the deadly seven. I mean, he possibly could be one of the deadly sevens, considering that his name is Vanitas, which is derived from vanity, and vanity is very close to the vice of pride, vanity. Oh man, I look good. Oh man, like, you know, vanity is like, oh man, I look good, I know I look good, damn, I'm sexy, or whatever the fuck, you know, I look into a vanity mirror. But then pride, you know, like, you could be prideful of how you look, you can be prideful of your skills, you could be, but I mean, you can still be very vain in your skills and what you're able to accomplish, whatever. But I always felt that vanity was more in line with your, you know, personal appearance or whatnot. So Vanitas could be the, you know, sin of pride, but I always feel that he's not, that he's an outlier, that Vanitas is one of the outer, like one of the true 13, but one of the outer circle, not the inner circle of the seven deadly. And I feel that Xehanort may have found a darkness that is not a deadly darkness, but one of the outlying 13. I was like, you, and then that the rest is history. Thus would explain his sudden change in eye color from silver to gold. And then he splits that darkness. He splits his heart, which, you know, the darkness. He was able to get that darkness, but then, you know, as Master of Masters tells him, it's like, oh, if you truly have great power, the darkness can't control you. And I'm like, are you guys talking about an element, or are you guys talking about a person here? Because those conversations are kind of wonky. So, with that in mind, he probably spliced that darkness over and over and over again in order to make 13, right? But then in order to make 13 darknesses that are strong enough in order to, you know, fit the equation of 13 darknesses in order to combat 7 lights to make the Keyblade, he had to find those with strong hearts and infect those hearts with that darkness in order to basically breed more darkness, because that's what the darkness wants in the end, as confirmed in Union Cross. Like, is the darkness evil? That's a little subjective. What does the darkness want? Infection. What does the darkness want? To multiply. What does the darkness want? To survive. And that really boils down to the whole notion of what's good and what's evil. What is light truly good? Is darkness really evil? And we've seen those within the light act evil, and we've seen those that are within the dark act good and whatnot. And the light, when it comes to the understanding of morality, they obviously have that kind of like good, like, grasp on things, like, oh, you don't kill people, oh, you don't steal, oh, you don't go destroying worlds, oh, you don't go stealing hearts and all that stuff, because they have that kind of like, you know, idea already, you know, deep-seated within themselves, taught by Keyblade masters of old that probably started with Xehanort and Skull-Eyed Kylam and whatnot. But then, you know, the teachings of darkness always being that of, you know, evil, is I feel that it's a notion that really needs to be explored a little bit more in Kingdom Hearts, because the whole idea that darkness, you know, equals evil is really out of the window when you have people like, you know, Riku. And in his own fucked up way, Venus seemed to be that of someone that's willing to care about Sora and Venus to a weird degree, but we can understand that at its most primal form, that darkness is very carnal, that darkness thrives on emotion. And the point in time when it comes to human beings, or, you know, people with personalities, or, you know, a person with a heart, is that their emotions are at their highest when they're, you know, thriving off negative emotion. Greed, lust, pride. That's when, you know, morality and reason fly out the window, because, you know, that's how the whole, you know, notion of how humans work is like, oh, your emotions run hot when you're thinking about, oh yeah, like I need to steal, oh man, I need to kill, oh man, I feel really good about myself. Hate, anger is supreme, because that's when your emotions are the most hot. You know, you throw morality and reason out the window, and that's why darkness thrives more on that rather than light. So it seems that within the realm of Kingdom Hearts, and the realm of, like, almost all of narrative to begin with, light thrives off morality, even if that morality is fucked up, you know, because, like, oh, I will save the world and stop the darkness and the evil. How are you gonna do it? By destroying everyone in the world. What? I am eliminating all evil by eliminating everyone. It's like, but you're not giving them a chance. I am morally correct, and the light thrives on that, because as we see, Kingdom Hearts literally has the power to reset the universe. And that's the power of light. That's not the power of darkness, that's the power of light. So that's the whole notion of, you know, darkness thriving off primal, carnal emotion, and light thriving off morality, as, you know, twisted and bizarre that it could be. And sometimes the two mix, and they, you know, they find themselves, you know, at the crossroads, the critical crossroads. You know, big case in point when it comes to the characters like Xehanort himself, Old Man Xehanort, the foretellers and stuff. You know, they do very dark actions, but in the name of light. You know, each of them do very messed up actions. Gula, Envy, said, but then they all, you know, think that it's like, oh, you're part of the darkness because your way of morality is wrong, while my way of morality is right. Which, by the way, is a very, very subtle but very hot commentary on religion, and that is something that Disney explores a little bit with their films. And Nomura's are like, nah, I'm gonna slide this in whether you like it or not. And then we see, you know, the 7 deadly sins, the Norse mythology, Greek mythology, Latin mannerisms and stuff like that, and then everything we see in like Skyline Kylam and then all the Disney films in itself and whatnot. It's just a really big commentary on what good and evil, like good and evil is not defined outright. And a lot of people that believe they are on both sides of the faction, most of them being on the side of light. You know, Lightbringers, Lightbringers scum, and whatnot. So that whole idea of darkness and light intersecting, especially within characters of that, like Xehanort. Xehanort is obviously one of the most powerful darknesses that we've seen in Kingdom Hearts, but I still don't think he is a one of... I don't think he's harboring the power of one of the deadly darknesses. And can you consider that for a second, that if Xehanort, the most powerful Keyblade master in public history to us, the one that was able to do all the damage in the Xehanort saga, his darkness does not amount to one of the deadly darknesses. His power does not amount to one of the foretellers or the Master of Masters. Can you imagine? Like, I'm pretty sure that Yozora would be able to smoke Xehanort. Like Prime Yozora would be able to smoke Prime Xehanort, right? So with all that being said, you know, Xehanort still is able to utilize both light and darkness, even though obviously he's on the antagonist side. But like, no, the path of evil is often paved with good intentions, and that's like a big deal with Xehanort when it comes to Dark Road and Kingdom Hearts 3. Remind going into what he was trying to do and whatnot. Yes, he used the darkness. Yes, he was creating the 13 darknesses. Yes, he was able to like get the darkness, you know, to a powerful point that he needed, but he did it all in the sake for using the light of Kingdom Hearts to reset the universe in order to eliminate the darkness, right? Probably an idea that was like seeded into him by the tragedy that happened with his classmates and the Master of Masters literally whispering into his ear. And as we've seen him in his final boss fight, like his final boss fight in Kingdom Hearts Rewind, the data version, right? He is able to use the darkness and the light to a crazy degree. Like, he's able to utilize dark orbs, he's able to summon the Goon Squad, yet he's able to command the light of Kingdom Hearts in order to steal other people's light and like attack you with light-based elemental energy. It's crazy, right? This was the man that was like, oh man, yeah, Xehanort, the strongest darkness on. He's out here burning us, literally with the light of Kingdom Hearts. That's, man. Oh god. So when it comes to the idea of Dark Road, the way it's going to end, the finale, I feel that Xehanort is, once again, going to come into contact with the rest of the darknesses. As he studies these darknesses, because, once again, Xehanort, as seen by his offshoots and by himself entirely, he's very curious, a researcher at heart. He's incredibly intelligent. And I feel that Xehanort is going to research these darknesses and come into contact with one of them, maybe even have a conversation with them, to the point where he tries to understand the darkness a little bit more. Because the way he uses the darkness in Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, and not even just Remind, but in all facets of Kingdom Hearts, the way he uses the darkness is very, like, he's a master of it, obviously, right? So he's gonna have to learn about that in some way, shape, or form, because he definitely doesn't learn it in Skull Island from school. No, he doesn't. So I feel that in his journey, throughout trying to find the other upperclassmen, and then possibly seeing his classmates die one by one, he's going to learn more and more about the darkness. He's going to study it, and then once he reaches his age of 19, in which he's probably going to try and locate all of the Willful Darknesses, as we've seen him starting to do that in Wonderland at the end of, I forgot, was it chapter 2 or chapter 3? Whatever, one of those chapters. He's gonna single them out. He's gonna find out how they work, how they tinker, what makes them tick to a degree that might even rival the Master of Masters' understanding of the darkness. Because from what everyone else tries to understand with the darkness, the darkness doesn't make any sense. And that was like a point that I was bringing up earlier when it comes to the whole morality and understanding of those who dwell in the light, those who use the light, and those that dwell in the darkness, and that literally are darkness, right? The fact is, we Lightbringers have such a strict moral code on what is perceived to be worthy enough of the light, within the light, and how they should serve the light. So much so that their understanding of the darkness, of how they act, how they plan, what they want, goes over their head. The person that probably understands them the most, the two people that probably understand them the most right now, is the Master of Masters and Xehanort. And Xehanort, you know, got the old razzle dazzle. He went kaput. So I want to see how Dark Road fleshes out the darkness, considering that this is Dark Road, because I felt that Union Cross did a beautiful job in fleshing out the darkness, especially towards the end, towards the finale, and help brace us for what could be when it comes to the next set of enemies, or the next true enemy going into Phase 2. And a lot of people thought, it was like, oh, is Yozora gonna be the main enemy? No, he's probably gonna be playable in the next game. Is the next enemy gonna be Master of Masters? I'm not entirely sure, because his plan, as fucked up as it may be, is still, once again, in the name of light, and trying to eliminate the darkness. And from our understanding of how the darkness functions and how they think and how they, you know, plan when it comes to the Willful Darknesses, sure, they seem like villains, sure, they seem evil, sure, they seem bad, but are they truly bad? Because that goes back to the point, like I said earlier, you know, Vanitas, even though in his own, you know, messed up, fucked up way, in his own, like, this one thing you have to understand about this, in his own unimaginable, inconceivable, in his own way that we cannot understand as Lightbringers, seem to care about Ventus and Sora legitimately, you know? I do stand by your side. I do stand by your side. I am the shadow that you cast. How much closer can I be? And like, you know, I do stand by your side. You define me. Just how you are a light to Ventus, I am darkness to you. We make a greater whole, you know? That didn't seem it seemed like ominous. It seemed, you know, weird and funky, but it didn't like when you try to ground it up to its pure sense, it didn't really seem malicious. You know, Vanitas knew what he was. He was a darkness. What I am is darkness. Ventus believed that, you know, people should have the ability to choose between that of light or darkness or in between, but Vanitas knew what he was, and he chose what he was. And even, you know, despite all that, it seemed that he truly did care to a degree, an unimaginable degree that he cared about, you know, his brothers. So, with that being said, Vanitas truly gave us a glimpse back and remind of how the darkness thinks, how the darkness plans, how the darkness, you know, how their own code or morality, you know, exists within themselves. And I feel that we're gonna get a fleshed out version of that when it comes to each deadly sin. When it comes to wrath, when it comes to lust, when it comes to greed, when it comes to sloth, when it comes to gluttony, when it comes to envy, when it comes to pride. You know, they're gonna have their own facets of what defines them as sins, but then that is probably going to make us beg the question on who truly decided what is evil and what is sin when it comes to those degrees. I mean, obviously you should not steal and you should obviously not kill. And then, you know, in the immortal words of George Carlin, there's truly, I believe there's truly one sin on this planet or in the universe, right? And that all other sins are just offshoots of that sin, and that sin is theft. Right? You know, that you know, like, oh, but what about killing? Yeah, you're stealing someone's life. It's like, oh, what about lying? Oh, you're stealing someone's right to the truth. And it's like, oh, what about this, that? It's all theft. It's all thievery in one sense of the in various sense of the world of the word, right? So then, even talking about that, you know, pride, that's, you know, that's a sin, but pride, can we relate that, like, as one of the deadly sins? Can we relate that to theft? You know, someone, you know, stealing attention, that's pride, maybe, you know, but then is that big of a sin? You know, envy, once again, you know, like stealing like, you know, the appropriate feelings from another person in order to like be envious of that, you know, that could lead to theft. It's like, oh, I want that, you know, that leads to theft, right? But if someone doesn't truly act on it, is it truly sin at that point? And then, you know, lust, ooh, that's a spicy one. That's a spicy one. And then all other facets, you know, sloth, gluttony, like, oh yeah, you're stealing someone's food, you're stealing someone's right to eat, someone's right to live, you know, that could be a deal. But it's all those, you know, intricate facets within that whole notion and idea of sin that could be played around with and makes you want to ponder, like, who decided you to be evil, right? And those specific darknesses of the 7 deadly sins, I feel is going to have a very, you know, a very interesting conversation with Xehanort that's going to, you know, build him up to be this villain, or I should say this antagonist, this foil to Sora that we have seen in the Kingdom Hearts series. Because when we talk about Sora and his foils, Sora has a bunch of foils, right? Sora has a foil in Riku, Sora has a foil in Vanitas, Sora has a foil in Roxas, Sora has a foil in Yozora. But Sora does have a massive foil in Xehanort, you know, because I felt that Xehanort and Sora, they were both happy kids. They both grew up on Destiny Islands. Xehanort, as we found out, is not truly from there. He was given up at birth. And that's one thing I want to know in Dark Road. Why was he given up at birth? Right? It's like, oh, he's a child of destiny. Oh, he'll be better in your hands. It's like, okay, I'll take him around. I'll take him out of the city and bring him to the beach. All right, whatever. So they both grew up on Destiny Islands. They both grew up amongst friends. They both grew up with, you know, a very happy temperament, a very, you know, competitive temperament, and, you know, they were both, I felt, they were both chess pieces, and that's like the whole deal with Kingdom Hearts 3 Mind. They were both chess pieces on the same path. But then, at one point, their paths diverged, right? Sora decided to, you know, walk the road of light, and unfortunately, Xehanort had to take that path of darkness, right? So when we see Xehanort, I feel that Xehanort is what Sora would have become if Sora decided, you know, to not be happy. Oh Lord, whatnot. So you know, they both believe in the power of hearts. They both believe in the power of empowering others or getting empowerment from others. Yet they kind of go in a reverse direction, right? Sora gains power from opening his heart to others and allowing other people to come within his heart, and he gets empowered. Xehanort empowers others by forcing his heart onto others, right? So they both have an understanding of the avenue of, you know, I would say strength transfer when it comes to the power of one's heart. And, you know, Xehanort's heart in itself, it was extremely powerful, something that rivaled that of Sora's. And I feel that when you take it to the most carnal, primal aspect, when you take, let's take Xehanort's heart and you take Sora's heart. You strip down all the connections that Sora has, you strip down all the connections that Xehanort has and stuff like that. And I feel they will be on equal footing, right? You know, one of light, one of darkness. But of course, I feel that the darkness, when it comes to the whole idea of being powered by emotions and light being powered by morality, I felt that Xehanort, when you take those two aspects, would have a lot more options in order to like take out Sora, right? But then Sora, on the other hand, has all of those, you know, connections to his hearts. Xehanort has connections, but not to the degree that Sora does, and that's why he was able to overpower him, even with the power of the Keyblade, even with the power of Kingdom Hearts, even with the power of the most powerful Keyblade master in public knowledge and record, you know. So all those ideas coming down to the notion of light and darkness and how Xehanort is going to take that path, take that dark road. It's going to be a very interesting ride, to say the least. And I feel that this incoming finale is going to be one of the most juiciest aspects, the most juiciest of lore dumps of Kingdom Hearts. So when, like, you know, Tetsuya Nomura and Square Enix are like, oh, we're not going to get that much updates when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. Well, first of all, we got the PC games that came out this year. And then Union Cross ended this year. And Dark Road is going to end this month. So don't worry, Kingdom Hearts fans, we're going to be eating quite good when it comes to the lore and the revelations and whatnot. Oh god. So when it comes to the idea of light and darkness, as Xehanort describes it, as everyone describes it, you know, it's funny enough, a lot of Disney villains, Hades included, have a really intimate knowledge on how the world began and how the darkness began. You know, as we all know, as the story goes, what do you call it? The world began in darkness, and from that darkness came light. From the light came the people, and the people had hearts. So, we all know the story. We all know the story. Everything began in darkness. And, you know, darkness could be, like, taken as the void, or it could be taken as an element, or, and here's the spicy thing, right? It could be taught about creation, all of creation. And you know how Ansem himself said, oh, will all of creation return to the shadows? And that, you know, when Ericus and Xehanort were talking about it, it's like, oh, from destruction comes creation. What will another Keyblade War bring? Was darkness the creator? Was the entity of darkness, the true darkness, the first darkness, you know, was darkness the creator? Because everything came from darkness. Light itself came from darkness. Alright? Like, within the void, within that of unbridled, unchained emotion, and, you know, erratic being, the chaos that's in darkness itself, from that chaos must be born order. Because we can't have understanding of order without understanding chaos. Because chaos is disruption. Chaos is what we know isn't. What is and isn't. We all have an idea of what chaos is, and in order to get the idea of order, we have to understand chaos. right? An agent of chaos. I sound like the Joker or whatever, but I'm serious. I'm serious. No, I'm being serious. This ain't no Joker or anything like that. You know, everything that is in that spiral abyss, that everything that's in that, you know, cesspool, that maelstrom, that chaos itself, we will have an understanding on that in order to understand what order needs to be, right? So when we take that application of morality and light itself, you know, darkness, and darkness feeds off emotions, unbridled, unchained emotion and stuff. That's probably where the world began, when it came to the void, when it came to the fifth dimension, when it came to everything from the beginning. All right, from that understanding of darkness, light was able to be created, and was light created by that darkness from the understanding of oneself. And that's why, as the secondary creation after darkness, light is unable to understand darkness, but darkness was able to understand light enough, so much so that it was able to create it. And from light came its own creations, people, hearts. And these creations, peoples with hearts, are unable to understand darkness, because darkness created the light, which in turn the light created the people and the hearts. But since they didn't truly come from the darkness at that point in time in sequential order, they have no true understanding of what is beyond the curtain, beyond the light itself. Because every notion that a human has had in Kingdom Hearts when it comes to how to eliminate the darkness is by merely destroying it, merely doing away with it. Either resetting the world, which Xehanort wanted to do, or by taking the deadly darknesses, and hopefully by eliminating those deadly darknesses, darkness will not flourish to the point like ever again, right? When I feel that's not the case. That's not the case. That never was the case or whatnot. And with that whole, you know, symbiotic relationship between light and darkness, you know, like, oh, darkness is half of everything, light is half of everything, which is hilarious considering that darkness is where everything started, in which I earned, like, you know, half of everything. I'm like, are you sure it's half of everything? Because I mean, like, darkness came from the beginning. That's why there's 13 darknesses in an equal number of 20. There's 13 darknesses and 7 lights, because light came from the darkness. So light must be, you know, smaller in scale from whatever created it, or whatever came before it, which, you know, was the void, was the darkness and whatnot. And when it comes to this, I would say it's not even scientific, this is all philosophical and whatever. When it comes to this whole idea and equation, when it comes to light and darkness, all of this is thrown out the window in Quadratum, right? And I feel that is one of the most important ideas that, you know, allures Xehanort, that allures the Master of Masters, something beyond that of his understanding, the darkness's own understanding, that there is a world that none of that matters, and probably did not, and was not built in that way, and was built in a complete other way. And we need to understand what this world is all about in relation to how the world functions, literally the world of Kingdom Hearts, the realm of light, the realm of darkness, the realm of in-between, dreams, sleep, you know, like, no, dreams, data, and memory, all that stuff. Quadratum poses such a problem to that of light and darkness that it's probably the biggest tool, the biggest asset that the Master probably could use in his arsenal, but it's probably something that the darkness itself is going to want to infect and destroy on its own terms. Because if the secret ever gets unlocked from Quadratum, either on part of Xehanort, or either on part of the Masters, either on part of Sora, then that's it. That's it for the darkness, and the darkness doesn't want that. The darkness doesn't want to conquer. The darkness doesn't want, and even in the pure sense, the darkness doesn't even want to consume. All the darkness wants is to be, and its own creation, light itself, darkness's own creation of light itself, does everything in its high moral power to destroy the darkness. And the darkness, all the darkness wants to do, when you take all of the intricate points of Kingdom Hearts, all the darkness wants to do is exist. Yet time and time again, Lightbringer scum, princesses of heart, Keyblade wielders, Keyblade masters, the teachers of old, the teachers of new, all is like, no, darkness bad, destroy, bam, right? And can you blame the darkness at that point to want to do nothing but infect? Like, oh, like, if we do nothing, we're gonna get stamped out. and all we want to do is exist. And if the moral high ground standards of the light wants to stamp us out, completely and utterly, time and time again, I guess the only choice for us to do is to constantly infect. You know, because even when it comes to willful cognitive darknesses that are able to be communicating to us either through not Xehanort, but Vanitas and the willful darknesses that we see at the end of Union Cross, it's not like, oh, we don't want to destroy the world. I mean, the world's gonna get destroyed because, I mean, like, you know, the thing is out there, but like we didn't want this. All we want to do is exist, but y'all caused that. Y'all caused that. And Vanitas was like, you know, oh yeah, the Keyblade War would begin. And you know, funny enough, on that little facet, a little mini theory about that, you know, going off a tangent within the 5th dimension, is that I think the reason why Vanitas was so happy, remember, you know, Ventus Vanitas, he's like, this key will open a door, and a door to all worlds, and then Keyblade wielders will flock from each and every one of those worlds, and just like the legend says, the Keyblade War will begin. You want to know why he was so happy about that? Thanks to the context that we see in Kingdom Hearts Dark Road and Union Cross, he was so happy about that because he knows that another Keyblade War, if it were to happen, it would literally be a signal to call his homies, his brothers and sisters. Vanitas was hyped at the idea that he's like, finally, my homies, my brothers and sisters, they'll know where I am. They'll come back. I'll see them again. He's like, yes. He wasn't hyped for violence. He wasn't hyped for destruction. He was hyped because he wanted his homies to come back, because it got confirmed in Union Cross that the Master of Masters himself used the Keyblade War in order to attract the Deadly Darknesses, in an attempt to attract the Deadly Darknesses, because they know that with the emotions running hot in a war like that, that acts as a beacon for the Deadly Darknesses. So Vanitas was hyped at that idea that his homies, that his brothers and sisters, his darknesses, you know, the 13 darknesses, will be able to find him at that point. So that's probably why he's like super hyped for that. Yo, Vanitas is the homie, bro. Oh. But honestly, I feel that Dark Road's potential deep dive within the whole idea of light and darkness and morality, which was explored in Union Cross and it was explored in Kingdom Hearts 3 of Mine, I just want to be explored more and more when it comes to the whole idea of what the darkness wants, what the darkness needs to be, what the darkness wants to be, how they want to live, how they want to, you know, exist. I just want to try and get a better understanding on that, especially considering that Quadratum seeks to destroy all of that in a way they've never seen or they've never heard of before. And that's probably going to lead into Xehanort's own understanding of how to find Quadratum, because he's probably going to hear about it from the Master of Masters. And then leading off the end of Dark Road, we're probably going to have all of the keys needed. Haha! Get it? Literally, in order to open the door to our own understanding of Quadratum, the world of fiction, and have us primed and ready for the 20th anniversary of Kingdom Hearts, of Verum Rex, of Quadratum, the world of fiction, Kingdom Hearts 4. It's happening next year. Tetsuya Nomura wants to get us primed up. He's been doing that. He's been dropping breadcrumbs with the Kingdom Hearts PC releases, the ending of Union Cross, Melody and Memories ending, and I feel that we're gonna get a bigger drive into that dive with Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. It's gonna be good, it's gonna be grand, it's gonna be incredible, and I know that you guys are gonna be hyped for that, and I know that you guys are gonna want to get that big understanding, and I want to just see how Yozora fits into all of this. And I feel that Xehanort's understanding of Quadratum, at a place in which voices can't reach our hearts, but we're able to see the hearts of others, it could be possible that Xehanort may come into contact with someone from Quadratum in order to gain a bigger understanding on that world, so much so to a degree that wasn't told to him by the Master of Masters, in order to start his immense research into the darkness and to do what needs to be done to reset the world and eliminate the darkness, because what we saw in Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, that was not his final plan. It got confirmed that his final plan was a plan that was still in motion after his passing in Melody of Memory. And that plan, I feel, is finally gonna get its start, its grand research, and that hype leading into phase 2 within the end of Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. Did you enjoy your stay in the 5th dimension? I hope you did, because this conversation has been grand, but I had you for an hour. Now it's time to toss y'all to the wind. But before I do, we're gonna go ahead and raid another member of the 5th dimension. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and I'll see you guys next week. But before you go, let's get that hype started for the reveal of the next guest and the next subject of the 5th dimension. Hold up, I'm about to put my little teaser here on Twitter. I'm just like about to reveal the next guest and subject on the 5th dimension. You better get in now. I'm telling you guys, this one is a little spicy, because it's one I've been wanting to do for a little bit, and I hope you guys enjoy. We're back with the 5th dimension. We're going off week to week to week, content striving. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be grand. I'm going to reveal. I'm gonna start the reveal trailer at the top of the hour. But I hope you guys had a really good time with the stream. And while the top of the hour is going off, let me see who we can raid from the 5th dimension really quick. Ooh, there's a lot of people streaming. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, I know who we're gonna stream. I know who we're gonna raid. Alright. Oh. Gonna be good. It's gonna be grand. We're going to, in less than a minute, we reveal the next guest and the next subject. Ooh. Ooh. I don't know if you guys are ready for this. Are you guys not? I hope you guys are not ready for this. Oh. This is gonna be I'm telling you right now, next week is gonna be a fun ass show. Oh man. Hope you guys are ready. Why are you treating this like a Smash announcement? Because it is a Smash announcement. It's my Smash announcement. Oh, well, I'm not in Smash or whatever. But I hope you guys are ready. All right, here we go, guys. I gotta lower the volume for the music. Hold on. Where's the? Oh yeah, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The next guest and subject of the 5th dimension. It's been a long time coming, and it's gonna be a subject that I am really gonna show you that I'm all about. Are you guys ready? Here we go. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, live at special start time, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we are going live with the 5th dimension with my good buddy, Comic Storian, to talk about all things Spider-Man! Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time. And I had to get someone that was deep within the Spider-Verse to talk to me about all things Spider-Man. Video games, movies, comics, TV shows, you name it. It's going to be good. It's going to be grand. So next week at special start time, 7 p.m., Eastern Standard Time, we're going live with the 5th Dimension with Comic Story on Spider-Man. So now, before I toss y'all to the wind, let's go ahead and raid another member of the 5th Dimension. We are going to raid our boy Jerome, who is currently playing Kingdom Hearts for the first time. Oh, I hope you guys are ready for that. He's currently at Olympus, and he has made contact with Cloud already. So guys, until the next stream, I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to always be brave, dive deep, and enter the 5th Dimension. I'll see you guys next week.